I strongly believe Albert's research must stop.
Light! We can't build the future on your empty optimism.
Say what you will, I cannot agree to this. Please listen.
No, you listen to this! At every turn, you've ignorantly blocked my research!
Mr. Wiley, control yourself. I see the committee is in agreement. And so, the department chooses Thomas Light's research into robots with independent thought. Thank you, everyone.
Why are you fools so blind? One day, Light. One day the world will know I was right all along. Bad memories make the worst dreams. A genius of my caliber needs sleep to keep his brain in gear. Wait. That research from my youth. Yes, now I'll show you, Light!
I've waited nearly a decade to say this, even though the game is nearly 2 years old at this point, which is why it's almost a decade. But hello, everyone, and welcome to Let's Play Mega Man 11. Let's not fool around, let's just start off a normal mode playthrough. The year is 20XX. At the laboratory of Thomas Light, father of modern robot society, many hardworking robots have arrived for their annual maintenance checkup.
All systems nominal. You're in great shape, Blockman.
All thanks to you, Doc. You built me rock solid. Well, I can hear the construction yard calling. Block out!
Good luck out there. Roll, how many checkups are left?
Let's see. We just finished with Blockman. That leaves Torchman, Acid Man, Impact Man, Bounce Man, Fuse Man, Tundraman, and Blast Man. Just 7 to go.
Oh, brother, there's no end to them. Doc, how about giving your favorite assistant a break?
I don't need a break, Otto.
Damn!
You know, for a robot, you sure do complain a lot. Now let's crank it up a gear.
Oh, I ain't a machine. I mean, I am, but still.
Mr. Torchman, please proceed to the... Oh! Earthquake!
What on earth? Roll, Otto, hurry to me!
Splendid to see you again, Light.
Wiley!
Doctor, what's going on? Stand back, everyone. I'll handle this.
Megaman!
This is no time for your heroics. I've simply come to give Dr. Light a message.
Then kindly be quick about it.
Of course. You see, I recalled some old research. The very invention you so coldly crushed when we were students together. Or has your memory failed you?
Our university days. A device. It can't be.
Oh, but it can! Your objections wouldn't stifle me forever. I had perfected my design. And now we'll see who was right all along.
Dr. Light, what's the ruckus?
Perfect timing. The lot of you will make excellent test subjects.
Wow! Who are you calling a test subject?
Quickly, you must all run and hide!
Too late. Switch gear.
My robots!
Over here, Light.
That speed! What have you done?
Dang it! Nobody blocks Blockman!
Let those robots go, Dr. Wiley!
I have a better idea. At last the world will bow down to the genius of Dr. Wiley.
Doctor, I'll go after Wiley.
Wait, Megaman! Wily's invention is called the double gear system. It's designed to push robots far beyond their normal strength and speed. If he really has completed it, I'm afraid you won't stand a chance.
But we can't just let him get away!
Megaman, I can tell you won't be stopped. Very well. This is the prototype double gear system that Wily developed back at Robot University. If I install this into your circuits, you may be able to stop him. But it's dangerous. Double gear places great strain on robot systems.
I can take it, Doctor. I want to do this, no matter the cost. Hook me up!
As you wish. The installation will take some time. There's a lot of work to do. The double gear system is fully installed. Megaman, rise and shine!
Go get him, Mega Buddy! And remember, your old pal Otto is here to help out.
Megaman, that dirty Wily won't know what hit him.
Megaman, you're doing a noble thing. Be careful out there.
Doctor, roll. Otto, I'll be back soon.
And now you can get a tutorial on the new double gear system as well as the double gear technique that combines both of the abilities into one that I never use, period. And here are our 8 Robot Masters this time around, as Roll name dropped in that very cutscene. But we're going to be starting off with my favorite design, as well as my starting stage in the first place, with Fuseman. God, hearing a new mix of that feels so good. As does playing this. This was the first stage I played on my first playthrough. And it's also the first song any of us heard from the game. Fuseman's theme was the trailer man for Mega Man 11, and honestly, while I think the soundtrack is overall good, they picked the best song in the game for the trailer, and it was a good choice. And for the first time in 8 years at the time of release, we have a new Mega Man platformer. There are some differences. For instance, you saw I just summoned Rush out of nowhere, and if you look in the top left, there's a red ammo gauge constantly next to my health bar. You can summon Rush at any point just using the triangle button. Similarly with the gauge beneath the health and ammo bars, the double gear system, by pressing L1 or R1 from the start, at least that's what their default mapping is, you can either slow down time with the speed gear or power up your shots with the power gear. Notable, you do slightly move slower when you use the speed gear, even though you are overall faster than everything else in the world. And when you use the power gear, you can charge your shot up to a second stage to shoot 2 charged shots at once, though notably you do have some recoil when you do so, when you do stand still for a moment. However, as you can see above Mega Man's head and below the gear system on the left, or no, it's just above Mega Man's head to start, but there is a time limit on it in that form of that gear gauge. If that runs out, you're not able to use it for a short period afterwards, first off, but your charge shots, or not, rather your shots period, are a little bit weaker to compensate. So use the system, but don't overuse it, because that does overall harm your person. And even though the gear system isn't necessary to beat the game, you can play the entire game without using it. The game's level and boss design heavily encourages you to, so I recommend getting used to using it early on just so it feels like second nature by the end. Because there are admittedly some pretty tight platforming sequences throughout this game that, for instance, the speed gear is designed to be used in to make it more comfortable. The power gear, less so. That's more used for either boss fights or mini-bosses. And speaking of which, we're coming up on this stages now. For the first time in a while in Mega Man, if not period, all 8 stages have unique mini-bosses, such as Dreadspark here. This fight especially encourages you to use the power and speed gear because there are a lot of fast-fire projectiles and lightning beams from the ceiling you need to dodge. With that said, just some simple charge shots are enough to eventually take it out, though it does have a pretty beefy health bar. It's arguably the hardest part of the stage, and if there's a reason to not take the stage on first, it's probably this. Also, I should mention this before I get too much farther into the video. If I sound a little bit different compared to my previous videos, that's because I'm testing something out that's new right now. I purchased the most recent versions of Camtasia Studio in between LPs, and I'm currently recording this through the Camtasia 2019 stuff, and that's not what I'm used to because I've been using Camtasia 8 for years at this point. If I don't like the way I sound here, though, what I'm probably going to end up doing is just recording commentary through Camtasia 8 as I have, and then just having Camtasia 2019 and 2020 as the footage editors, because this allows me to edit footage in a way I was unable to on Camtasia Studio 8, which is namely 60 frames a second videos, which I'm generally not that big of a strict guy for, but for games that I think benefit from it, such as fast action platformers or things like Devil May Cry, it's definitely going to be what I use for that moving forward. On that note, something else I should mention is that every one of the Robot Masters in this game does have a bio of sorts, in a veins kind of similar to Mega Man and Base's, but it's available through this game's in-game gallery. For instance, Fuseman's job is to manage and fine-tune power transformer stations. He's designed to handle massive electrical currents, but if he ever encounters a current that's too strong for him, the fuses on his head will blow, saving him from a critical overload. He's a crucial part of the city's power supply system, so he treats his job with a sense of responsibility and duty, putting speed above all else when a problem arises. Since his dangerous job keeps him alert and on edge 24/7, the only time he can let caution slide and just relax is when he's caring for his pet rabbit, Watt. How adorable. We are coming up on Fuseman himself, though, and as his bio just hinted at, he is fast. But we don't have a weapon, so, oh well, he's weak to Bounce Man for future reference.
You scrambled my electrons. Let's amp this up.
I should note basically every character line that the Robot Masters have in this game is a pun. The basic pattern he's going to go off starting is having 2 bits of energy rotate around the arena while teleporting from place to place across the midair of the arena, shooting you with 1 projectile that you can either slide around or jump over. When he's doing that, I recommend just shooting charge shots until he gets to around his half one of his HP, in which case most bosses will use their respective power or speed gear. They don't have both, they only have the one, and his is a speed gear to move super fast and do a shockwave attack on the ground. But if you effectively use your own speed gear, you can kill him pretty quickly with that.
Short circuit! Short circuit!
If you let him live too long after that, he sends 2 more energy bits around in the triangles you can see highlighted in the background, but repeats his pattern from there. While on superhero mode, bosses get extra bits to their pattern. For instance, Fuseman will shoot 4 balls of electricity around the arena and fires 2 sparks directly at you when he's teleporting around. And this time around, taking a bit of a vein out of style change and noise changes from the Mega Man, Battle Network, and Star Force series, the Robot Master weapons actually change their appearance physically this time around. For instance, Scramble Thunder turns us into this. As well, the Get a Weapon sequence is now your own personal tutorial where you get to play around with the weapons. For instance, the Scramble Thunder fires a piece of electricity down at the floor and then travels along the floor and ceiling and walls until it hits something. You can also shoot it straight up, and also with the power gear, you can upgrade most weapons into a larger, more powerful version.
Welcome back, Mega Man. If you have any bolts, let me build items to help you.
Effectively used, that weapon is really good, but the power gear in general mixes together with most weapons really well. And here's Dr. Light's shop. You get bolts dropped by enemies in the game as usual, often in units of 10 or 100, and you can buy things in here. I can't get everything throughout the game because some items only spawn after beating the game, some only on Saturdays. I'll go through all the items probably towards the end of the game, honestly. But now it's time for our next Robot Master, Tundraman, who, get this, is the ice stage. And arguably one of the hardest stages in the game, because the ice physics in this game, they're not hard, but they take some getting used to. In fact, that's the best way to describe Mega Man 11's controls. They're really sharp and precise, but in a way that if you're used to classic Mega Man controls, it takes some getting used to. Especially with what the default controls are. Like, I have the controls even slightly customized to make B my slide button, because it's usually the rush jet button when we get that later on. Or my gears are actually on different controls than the default. They're on the L1, R1 buttons, as I mentioned a moment ago. But I have them mapped to L2, R2 because I find that more comfortable, because the default swapping items or swapping of weapons I like to have on the main shoulder buttons. Although, as you saw me use a few moments ago, there's also an alternative method to switch weapons in this game with the right analog stick called the weapon wheel. Every weapon has a set place on the weapon wheel, and you can just press the right analog stick in that direction to activate the weapon more quickly. Think of it as the weapon change shortcuts on the shoulder buttons, only even faster. For instance, if I just press the analog stick to the left, I will turn on Scramble Thunder that much more quickly. Now, when I was in Dr. Light's shop earlier, I bought the classic staple of the energy stabilizer, or balancer rather. Like with prior games, what that does is if you get excess weapon energy, it'll automatically be directed to whatever the lowest ammo special weapon or rush is, in the case should it be. With that said, since the rush items are constantly on your weapon gauge, more often than not, rush will eat up any excess if you've used him, and that can get kind of annoying. The energy balancer isn't as useful in this game as it is in other ones, and it makes me wonder if that's why they make it so easy to get. And this is the other reason I recommend taking on Tundraman stage early when platforming. If you've been around this channel around a while, you know there's generally two types of platforming I don't like. Darkness platforming and wind platforming. On a first playthrough, this is some of the most annoying wind platforming I've had to do in a while too. On repeat playthroughs though, it ain't so bad. But now it's time for our next mini-boss. This is Mecha Mamostal, I believe? The thing we need to hit isn't the mammoth itself, it's the green platform it's standing on when its eyes are open. It'll constantly move back and forth, charging left and right to destroy the stalactites of ice it causes to fall on the ground. However, its eyes do generate a shield every couple of seconds. With that said, an interesting thing this game brings out of essentially the Proto Man playstyle in Mega Man 10 is you can use the charge shot to break any shields an enemy has, be it Sniper Joes or Shield Orbiters, or whatever the hell those other enemies are called. And if you use the power gear with that, you can damage most enemies pretty reliably. Again, I mostly recommend using the power gear in boss fights, though. Now, something I gotta comment on as well about this game right off the bat is I love its art style. I remember when the first trailer was shown off, people were quick to compare it to Mighty No. 9, and I can see it from at least the perspective of it's an action platformer in 2.5D, but this game has so much more life, detail, and vibrance compared to Mighty No. 9 in basically every graphical facet that it's unfair in my eyes. I think this game looks gorgeous. The animations are so good looking. This game just reeks of the classic 8-bit style if it was combined with the detail of Mega Man 8 and put in 3D. It looks amazing. At least from the camera distance they give us. I admit, if you look at the camera, if you look at the models pretty closely, they're kind of not so detailed, but the backgrounds and everything else look amazing. Oh yeah, that's the thing. Occasionally enemies can drop, the closest thing I can compare them to is the weird little shining orbs enemies in Wind Waker can drop, where they'll cycle through several items that they can be. E-tanks, weapon drops, health drops, a lot of other things. They seldom show up and are never useful though. This is the part that can really make or break the stage for you when platforming. My advice here is don't do what your Mega Man X might tell you and slide then jump to get extra momentum. Just jump normally and jump a bit sooner than you think you should, as you can't exactly hang off edges as well as you could in the 8-bit games in this one.
Trying to take my spotlight? I'm like a rose, frozen in ice.
Tundraman is really easy to kill if you use the power gear with the Scramble Thunder, because that's 2/3 of his health gone already. He'll move back and forth left and right a lot, and he'll do it really quickly with his speed gear. That's about all the time he gets to have, honestly, because, well, he's dead.
The last dance.
Love that enemy design, though. In fact, in general, I think Mega Man 11 has just the best looking enemy robot designs, period, barring maybe the Wily 1 boss later on. But for beating him, we get the Tundra Blast weapon, which is a bit of an oddball, in that It's completely centered around Mega Man, but not in the way most barrier-type weapons are. Also, I love the look of this thing. This is also, in the Mega Man 11 original trailer, what they used a placeholder skin for that looks like Mega Man Star Force Mega Man. You generate a cylinder of ice directly around you, and if you use Power Gear with it, it's a practical screen nuke. In the right situation, this can be really good for taking out a lot of enemies at once, or even a lot of mini-bosses. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 2, we're heading after Roar Robot Masters. More Robot Masters. See you guys then.